Jagannatam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padpadme Tvayo Shritva Pranamami Muhur Namaste Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. Good afternoon, everybody. So let's, as Swamiji said, let's go on a pilgrimage. Just right before that, I just want to just quickly acknowledge just the setting in the space that Swami Harinaramanji and his crew have put together. He's my elder brother. So, how many of you here have an elder brother? Okay, so it's like sometimes you think you know your brother. But then after seeing this, I feel I think Rida, after seeing Ramakrishna in some ecstasy, he said, okay, I'm not going to argue with you ever again. So similarly, I'm just so impressed with Swamiji and his team, and it's just what I've seen, it's they're like a family. It's like one Sankhya philosophy, the gunas are all working together in harmony and unison. So I just want to acknowledge that. My Harvard professor is here, so that's good. He's my support. Now the other Swamis and other speakers are not here, so we're going to poke a little bit of fun at them before we begin our pilgrimage. So how many of you here? How many of you here think it feels like you're at a hot air balloon? You see a balloon rising really high, and you just you're watching it. Divyananda Prana Mataji, yesterday she gave that wonderful talk. But you feel like a spectator. You're watching her spiritual elevation. You're just watching her. Same thing with Advaita, Swami Priyanandaji. Wow. And Akarupananda, Chris is kind enough, he stays with us at the embodied level. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. I think that more than the pilgrimage, I want to talk about the pilgrimage mindset. Now, I've applied this mindset. Before in Harvard Divinity School, I lived in India, in Dvaita Ashram, 9.5 years. Now, I'm born and brought up in this country. We're Bengalis. So normally when a foreigner comes to, it all looks romantically nice. Oh, I'm in Kolkata, I'm going to enjoy everything. But after 3 days, they become sick. Then the weather sets in, the humidity, the temperature. But I found with these principles, and we'll talk about them, I was able to stay kind of fresh in kind of more than 9 years, 9.5 years. And not only that, usually when you go to a new place, you have difficulty making friends, community. I found that I had many communities there. In our Sangha, Advaita Ashram, of course, is where I stayed. Mayarbadi, they used to have a room for me because I used to go, because of my research, I used to go every weekend there. Kashipur, so they, Sharat Maharaj in Mayarbadi, which is where Holy Mother lived during her last days in Kolkata. So Swami Chidekananda had a room named Sharat Maharaj's room. So similarly, I had a room, they said Swami Chidekananda's room. Same thing, and so this was something very expansive. And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about how to take theoretical knowledge and not, we all try to make a jump from theoretical to experiential. But I'm here to put forth something that, no, we go from theoretical to the embodied. This is what I learned from Chris Berlin, and I think he was one of my favorite professors. He was my favorite professor at Harvard, actually. And like all of you, I was an ardent student of Advaita Vedanta so many years. But when I was with him and taking the classes there, this mindset also helped me to kind of make Harvard University my own. I think by the time I left, people also felt that as students, faculty, they said, Swamiji, we don't want you to go. And I said, I don't want to go either. So we're going to talk about how to take it from the theoretical to the embodied. What does the embodied mean? Here, when you're learning from all these great teachers, it's just the mind. No, we want to take it not only to the mind, but the five senses. When we talk about pilgrimage, we always use the word darshan, sight. Yet, when I go in any place of pilgrimage, not only darshan, but sparsha, touch. I think that last 15 years, every year I've gone to Kashi Vishwanath. So I can feel what, even right now, if I close my eyes, I can feel what he feels like. I can smell what he smells like. The taste, the touch. Along with the mind, along with the theory. Same thing with Jagannath in Puri. I think I helped Jagannath in 2012 during this Ratha Yatra. We'll talk about that. So I can still feel his nose against my chest. It doesn't end there, it's just the beginning. This is an anchor point. Because what we're missing in, I feel, a lot of these guided meditations, Ramakrishna said, first you have the one, then you add the zeros. But I feel that we first have to create this sattvic vritti. Something that goes deep. Something that's, it doesn't matter if you're a jnani, a bhakta, a raja yoga, a karma yogi. We have to have some emotion, some vritti, some divine vritti that's anchored in our heart. So first, what is a place of pilgrimage? So I actually studied this at Harvard with, I don't know how many of you have heard of Professor Diane Eck? She's a great scholar. She wrote this book on Kashi, Kashi City of Light. So I took a class on her life rituals and life cycle. And actually she just retired this year. So we became very good friends. And just on her retirement day, I brought this very dear picture of Kashi Vishwanath picture. And in front of everybody, 200 people, I gave it to her and said, on behalf of the Ramakrishna Mountain Mission, I want to thank you for your research. And she's a great soul, and I was very blessed to be her teacher at Harvard. So, what is a place of pilgrimage? Now, before I went to Harvard, I would have told you, I've written a series of articles on this. It's a place of spirituality, looking something associated with the divine. But going to Harvard, it opened my eyes. Diana Eck, another scholar named Victor Turner, they talk about place of pilgrimage being a place of liminality. How many of you here know what liminality means? An in-between state. We call it no man's land. Not here nor there. This applies to time, space, and agency. For example, my own state right now, I finished Harvard, I was posted there by headquarters. I'm kind of in no man's land. People ask me, where are you going to go next, Swamiji? I don't know. But isn't it true that all of us are in some type of no man's land? Some type of state of... Raise your hand, who feels like they're not like a no man's land? Okay, most of us. Either careers, physical health, relationships. Let's try to see how places of pilgrimage can help us with those things. I went to Harvard this past year. So there I attended a graduation. That's a liminal space. That's a threshold. We've graduated. We're about to receive our diplomas. But we don't know where we're going to go next. Liminal space. But let me now ask a further question. What is the difference between an ordinary place of pilgrimage and a spiritual place of pilgrimage? On top of that, is a place of spiritual pilgrimage a subjective feeling or an objective fact? Who wants to take a stab at the second question? Both, yes. Okay. So just to get clear on this, Swami Vivekananda, it's in his commentary, the Yoga Sutras, and I'll just summarize today, but it's there, you can, and I'll give you the page number afterward if you like. But basically what he said is that a place of pilgrimage, what is there is what Divyananda Brahmamataji mentioned, there's a preponderance of sattva in the atmosphere. How did the sattva get there? How? Your great sages? Yes, great sages did realizations. What else? People go there with devotion, consecrated feeling? Yes. Tapas? Yes. All these things you have described, yes. So our Swami Chidekananda had mentioned it. It's like this cloud. It's like this, if you come to Asilomar, it's like this internet, this cloud in the air, right? The virtual cloud. Now, if you want to have access to that cloud, what do you need? What do you need? The password. I'm going to give you the password. That password comes from this, what we call the pre-pilgrimage mindset, the pilgrimage mindset, and the post-pilgrimage mindset. The pre-pilgrimage mindset is, what do I need to know before I go? So I don't go there as a tourist. Otherwise, if you go there as a tourist, you'll be, first of all, your mind will have so many distractions will be there, right? You think you've come to a place where everyone's chanting God's name, but it's anything but that. You'll have a priest approaching you, takada, give money. And you'll have your companions, they'll start to get on your nerves. Sometimes we would be in a line to see a deity, and sometimes you see fights break out right before the gate to see the deity. So this is what is a pre-pilgrimage mindset? Priming the mind, making it ready. The pilgrimage mindset. I'm here, now what? You can say it's like a Lila Dhyana. Now you're going, you're visiting the different places, and you want to experience it. Not only through the mind, which you already have the knowledge, through all the five senses. And then, and this is all according to the teachings of Ramakrishna. I wrote articles on this, and you can see Vedanta Keshari. Then the post-pilgrimage mindset. This is where the real connection, the real pilgrimage begins. What is our goal from a pilgrimage? You can have different goals. It depends upon your intention. Harinamanda mentioned my parents. So I think they went to Mount Kailash in 1998, 1999. So at that time my mom's health was not very good. So Swami, they went to speak to the head of this Hollywood Vedanta Society, Swami Swahananji. And he asked her, what if you die? Your health is not good. Is it necessary to go? What if you die at Mount Kailash? Then my mother said with still a very steely determination, if I have to die, there's no place I'd rather die than Kailash. This sankalpa, this intention, combined with the knowledge, the spiritual knowledge, what happened there, who did what. You acquire all that knowledge. Now, when I went to Harvard, my ideas expanded actually. It's not only spiritual knowledge. What are the local customs? What are the local foods? What are the local sites? What are the local people? Why are we doing this? Why? We're doing something unique here. We're traversing from the past into the present to make a strong divine vritti for the future. The past is not as it is. If you see Dakshineshwar right now, you get kind of a worldly environment. That's why we're bringing in the past. That knowledge of the past. Ramakrishna did what? What did it look like? We're bringing that into the present. So when we're going through these different places of pilgrimage, we're going with bhav. Bhav being some type of spiritual mood. We've cultivated that in advance. By the way, this training I'm talking about, this is something in the words of Ramakrishna. I quote from his words. In addition, it's a training that Swami Vivekananda gave to Sister Nivedita before they went to Amarnath. You can read about that further in The Master as I Saw Him, and some wanderings with Swami Vivekananda. So we talked about this, and so we talked about again what you need to know before you go, how to transform our mind, so we're going as a pilgrim. Now, are places of pilgrimage only in India? Okay. How many here think it's only in India? Okay. How many here think it could be in the USA as well? Okay. Yes. Very good. I'll give you some of my own personal experiences with applying this mindset. When I went to Harvard, it's not that you have this idea in your mind, it's a citadel of learning. So this is my ideal concept. But when I get there, so many things are happening. Protests are happening. So many battles are happening. Worse yet, they see a Swami, they think that we're supposed to be a sense of refuge for them. So how am I going to keep myself in that sacred space? So Saviour Hall, as I'm walking through Harvard, Swami Vivekananda gave a talk in Saviour Hall. In fact, the talk is recorded about Advaita Vedanta. The room 113. I actually took a class here with the very famous Professor Steven Pinker. He gave a class on rationality. And so as he's giving that was a way though, the classroom is as it was during Swami Vivekananda's time. So for me, when I entered into that presence, sometimes I would just close my eyes and meditate. It was like a shrine to me. This is the importance of the pre-pilgrimage mindset. My friend Socrates from Greece, I was telling him about that. So he would look at this, he also has a pilgrimage mindset. He lives in Greece. So he's a Greek, but he's a Buddhist, he practices Buddha Tantricism. And he also has a connection with the local deities in Greece. So as we're walking past Saviour Hall, he would say, Swamiji, look at Whitener Hall. How many of you have seen Whitener Hall? Look at Whitener Hall. Don't you see? I said, what, Socrates? It's the Greek columns. The Greek columns. This is where the goddess Sophia dwells. Goddess Sophia is similar to Mother Saraswati. She's dwelling, moving about here and there. Then I started thinking about it. How many great minds have come from Harvard? 8 US presidents. Henry David Thoreau. The list goes on and on. So why not? Otherwise, what else explains it? But Socrates took it one step further. He said, you see this? Facing Whitener Hall is Memorial Church. Do you see the Greek columns there? And on its monotheism, built on the Greek columns. Christianity superseded the Greek pagan gods. So you could just see them facing each other. Now, I like to do experiments with these things. So I took another group of devotees to a place in Greenacre. It's called, how many of you have heard of Greenacre? And all of you, I assume you know the significance. Swami Vivekananda visited there. So I wanted to do an experiment with that. So when we went to Greenacre, the day before, me and his name is Joseph Peter. If any of you ever go to Harvard, visit there, let me know. He'll give you a tour. He's the researcher of Massachusetts on Swami Vivekananda. So he took us to Greenacre. So the day before, we're reading about Swamiji's letters. We're situating Swami Vivekananda. This is another purpose of pilgrimage. When Aparupananda was reading those letters today, he was reading some letters. Now, I take it one step further. He's appealing again to what? Sister Deva Mata and her experience. But no, Joseph Campbell wrote that Return of the Hero's Journey. I don't want Sister Deva Mata's experience. I want my own experience. I want to be the protagonist, and I want to return as the hero. It's not her experience. It's my own experience that I have to live through pilgrimage. Is that clear? So, in this aspect, another idea of pilgrimage is it makes the text come alive. Now, for me, Swami Vivekananda is very dear. He's a founder of our order, but to me, he's like a member of my family. So, in the Yoga Sutras, we have a sutra there, meditating upon the heart and mind of a great soul, we get purity of mind. So I want to give you an example of how places of pilgrimage can bring things to life. We've just entered Green Acre now. I took a set of devotees there and we just entered Green Acre. Now we're situating this. Swami Vivekananda had come to Chicago, he came to Northern America in July of 1893. He gave his Parliament of Religions talk in Chicago, September 11th of 1893. After that, it was like a whirlwind tour, moving all about. Now, that might sound great on paper, but Swamiji was very tired. He was very, very tired at that time. But there's something about Green Acre. When Swami Vivekananda came here, he came here 1 year later. He wrote a letter actually, and I'm going to read that letter on July 31st, 1894. He came here. Here it was very significant. Here for the first time since he came to Northern America, he experienced that great joy. A great joy, which we're going to read in this letter. Why? It was the first time that he could actually preach Advaita Vedanta in America. And he found sincere students. So now you could see this smile on his face. This is like, it's not only a smile of ananda, but it's a smile of relief. He feels like he has finally come home. So you have to understand, when we're going to Green Acre, having all this in mind before, what difference does that make when we go? So, as I went there, I opened the letter, and when I first went there, we started just reading the letter. I'll just read portions of it. It's in the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. Green Acre, it's dated July 31st, 1894. Green Acre Inn, Elliott, Maine. Dear sisters. Who is Swamiji talking to when he's talking to his sisters? Who are his sisters? Yes, the Hale sisters. Now, Swamiji writes, I have not written you long, and I have not much to write. This is a big inn and farmhouse where the Christian scientists are holding a session. Does anyone know about Christian Science? So it's about this type of spirit mind control, right? You all hold hands together, you try to heal others through mind. We think of them as a queer group, probably, but they were open to Swami Vivekananda's ideas. This was a 3-week conference being held. Let's continue. Mrs. Mills, Miss Stockholm, and several other ladies and gentlemen live in tents, which they have pitched on the open ground by the river. I'll show you the tents, but you can just imagine that this big open wide tent near the river. We saw that river too. They have a lively time, and sometimes all of them wear what you call your scientific dress the whole day. Now the scientific dress is really interesting. I'll show you the pictures later on. What does he mean by scientific dress? I understood looking at those pictures. How many of you here have seen the movie The Titanic? So, you look at the Titanic. That's the type of dress that they would wear at that time. They look like costumes to us, but that was the dress at that time. Okay. They have a lively They have a lively time and all. Sometimes all of them wear what you call your scientific dress the whole day. They have lectures almost every day. Okay. Now, one Mr. Colville from Boston is here. He speaks every day. It is said under spirit control. So he speaks under spirit control, Mr. Colville. And the editor of the Universal Truth is here. She is conducting religious services and holding classes to heal all manners of diseases, and very soon I expect them to be giving eyes to the blind and the like. After all, it is a queer gathering. You see Swami Vivekananda's, you see his sense of humor. It's coming to life now. They do not care much about social laws and are quite free and happy. Mrs. Mills is quite brilliant, and so are many other ladies. Another lady from Detroit, very cultured, wishes to take me to an island 15 miles out at sea. That island is Star Island. It's not like Star Island. We even found out the person who's going to take him. Okay, here we go. Cora Stockham has made a bathing dress for me, and I am having as good a time in the water as a duck. Now let's see. This is with the internet. You can see what type of dress was that. You can now research this with the internet. This is the type of dress they would have made for Swami Vivekananda. This was the bathing suit at that time. So you can imagine Swamiji in one of these bathing suits. Let me read that. Cora Stockholm has made a bathing dress for me, and I am having a good time in the water as a duck. This is delicious even for the denizens of Mudville. So when I went to that water, we actually pictured where Swami Vivekananda stayed. What room would he have stayed in? Now, I visited almost every place in India where Swamiji stayed. When I went to Almora, Mayavati, one thing I saw that Swamiji is, he likes a broad view. And he doesn't like this, he likes to stay on the second story and a broad view, either a lake or a broad landscape. So we went in where he was, the room, they didn't recognize where he stayed, but we identified that room. We could just picture and play the whole thing. And we sat there and meditated for some time. So with this pilgrimage mindset, this is another way. We take a text and we become active participants in that text. You see the difference between that and just sitting, listening to something? No, let me experience through my mind, my senses, touch. When I saw that river Swamiji's bathed, you can just imagine the relief he felt. His joy gives us joy, right? He felt he had come home. Let's continue. There is here Mr. Wood of Boston, who is one of the great lights of your sect, but he objects to the sect of Mrs. Whirlpool. So he calls himself a mental healer of metaphysical, chemical, physical, religioso, whatnot. See Swamiji's delightful sense of humor. Yesterday there was a tremendous cyclone which gave a good treatment to the tents. The big tent under which they had the lectures had developed so much spirituality under the treatment that it entirely disappeared from mortal gaze. This is the tent right there. And about 200 chairs were dancing about the grounds under spiritual ecstasy. See Swamiji, what a sublime sense of humor he has. Mrs. Figgs of Mill's company gave a class every morning, and Mrs. Mill is jumping all about the place. They are all in high spirits. He adds, you will be astounded with the liberty they enjoy in the camps, but they are very good and pure people there. A little erratic, that is all. So Swamiji, he says in a positive way, but he also keeps it real. Now, the other night, so the cyclones were taking place here. The other night, the camp people went to sleep beneath the pine tree, under which I sit every morning a la Hindu and talk to them. This pine tree no longer exists, but you'll see we hunted it down. Of course I went with them, and we had a nice night under the stars, sleeping on the lap of Mother Earth, and I enjoyed it every bit of it. This is where Swamiji is revealing. After 1 year, he finally feels like he's back in India. He's back with his own people. The inn people, on the grounds, are more or less well-to-do. And the camp people, these are the camp people, are healthy, young, sincere, and holy men and women. I teach them Shivoham, Shivoham, and they all repeat it. Now this is the real insight. Thank God for making me poor. Thank God for making these children in the tents poor. So I look at these children. You could see some of them. You see the one lying down? That reminded me of Leonardo DiCaprio. See how he was dressed at that time? Remember the haves and the have-nots. What are we doing here? We're bringing the past into because if you go there now, you won't have this experience. We're bringing the knowledge, the nostalgia of the past into the present. And with that, we're making a bright vritti for the future. With this vritti, if you catch hold of even one vritti, yes, let all these guided meditations be done. We'll then elevate as well. Thank God for making me poor. Thank God for making these children in the tents poor. The dudes and dudeens are in the hotel. I looked up this word. You can all, what does dudes and dudeens mean? Does anyone know 19th century, what does dudes? Now we say, hey dude, what's going on? Okay? But no, dudes at that time meant something sophisticated, foppish, well-dressed. And dudeens were the counter to that. So when Swamiji was in the inn where he was staying, they were all well-to-do, well-dressed people. Go back to the Titanic, the haves and the have-nots. The dudes and dudeens are in the hotel, but iron-bound nerves, let's go back to that picture, but iron-bound nerves and souls of triple steel and spirits of fire are in the camp. If you had seen them yesterday, when the rain was falling in torrents and the cyclone was overturning everything, hanging by their tent strings to keep them from being blown down. Let's go back to that other tent right there. You can just imagine they're hanging by the tent strings. And to keep them from being blown down, and standing on the majesty of their souls, these brave ones, it would have done your hearts good. Now, Swamiji reveals this real joy. I will go 100 miles to see the like of them. Lord bless them. So you see, can you all feel that? Can you tangibly feel that? But Swamiji, after 1 year, the joy. And if we go back to that picture, this picture right there. Now this picture, for all of you forevermore, this picture will have a different connotation. In fact, you don't have to sometimes go. What you're receiving here is much more than if you had gone there without doing it. And I took these few students there, and Joe on the right, he's been in Harvard 30 years. He's a hidden jewel. He does so much research on Swami Vivekananda. His name is Joe Peter. He's a real researcher. And in the middle is, her name is Dr. Amy Fu. I just met her at the end of Harvard Divinity School. She's actually came from China. She's doing a fellowship there. And I didn't know, she translated some of the works of Swami Vivekananda from English into Mandarin. So she came with us. And then two devotees, DRE and Micah. So I was doing this experiment with them. I told them to meditate upon this. So afterwards, I think DRE, she loved the dudes and dudeens. That really struck with her. This is the room. This is the room where Swami Vivekananda stayed. We don't need a plaque for that. We saw the view. And this is now, after that, the son of the founder of the Baha'i conference, he stayed there. But this is what we did. So we meditated there for some time. Again, you see what we're doing? We're participants, active participants. How many of you heard of Geraldo Alcatraz? What is it? Alcatraz. Yeah, so he went searching for the gold in San Francisco. And so it was like a big, I think like they had a live broadcast. They thought they were going to find lots of gold in this Alcatraz in San Francisco. But it turned out to be a big flop. But we were like that too. We're spiritual adventurers. Again, this is just one last picture. That tree, where is that tree? For God's sakes, where's the tree? They call it Prophet's Pine. It's no longer there. But Joe is very good with anthropology. We went on our own expedition out in the woods looking for that tree. And we heard from hearsay from the people living there, where this prophet's pine was. And you see the picture of Swami Vivekananda, it opened two ways. It was a tree, like two trees were there. So we identified this spot right here. And we could do that because there was some, you see this was you can't see, this was on an incline. So the place we found was also on an incline. So we sat and we meditated there, see the experience and see the power. Okay, now I just wanted to make the point that now spirituality is not just in India, it's equally vibrant here if we apply this, what do we call it? The pilgrimage mindset. Now, let's go to Kolkata. Now, what do you see here? You know, in Bengali there's one word, Kappa Hat Bajar. The marketplace of the mat. So you could see all these different, the buses, when I first arrived in Kolkata, this is what it was like. And I'm not staying in Bellarmont. Bellarmont we're kind of protected. Kolkata is like, the boundaries are off. The gloves there's no boundaries there. You're one with the sea. So as I was wondering about Kolkata, what Swami Vivekananda talked about, somehow I felt, yes, there's something holy about these things. Ramakrishna moved here and there, but where did he go? What did he do? So the next 9.5 years, I spent my time doing research about that. So we're in the process of making a book about, I think it's, we found out many hidden places where Ramakrishna visited. And we divided it according to different districts. So it's like a day of the life of Ramakrishna, district by district. And so now if you take me anywhere in Kolkata, when I'm in district, I can know all the places. And his morning routine, what he did, where he went, the different Kali images. Not just Bhavadarni Kali Ma, there's so many mothers that he had connections with. So actually on this, when I went to Kamarpukur, which is the birthplace of Ramakrishna, the brahmachari used the bhandari. The bhandari means that the person who serves, the brahmachari, he serves the sadhus. So if you're on his good list, he'll serve you well. So I sometimes didn't get good treatment there, but one day this brahmachari was actually really nice to me. Oh, he's giving me all types of things. Oh, why? He said, and then he told me in Bengali, Nana Maharaj, you know all the places, I heard that you're Deepak Maharaj, you know all the places, if you want to see Kolkata, you want to see Ramakrishna, you want to see the different Mother Kalis, you have to go through you. So, these things are very hidden. For me, that's the beauty of it. It became something so alive. Not only Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda. What really inspires me, what really inspires me, I call it one moment in time. A moment, a point of transformation. For example, Swami Vivekananda, he was in Scottish College Church. There, Professor Hastie, the principal, was giving a talk about Wordsworth, the poems on ecstasy. There, Swami Vivekananda asked that question, have you met anybody who has actually had these experiences? You know that, many of you know that story. He said, if you want, you go to Dakshineshwar. I was really curious about that room. So one day, one of my volunteer, his wife was a former student of that church college. So she took me there. I made friends with the principal. So she showed me, when you enter room 45, that's where that took place. Bellarmine doesn't know about it. Nobody knows about it. I was also wondering about Swami Vivekananda. Just right near there, there's this, what do you call this, Bhamnagar, this place of wrestling. That's where Raja Maharaj, Swami Brahmananda, and Swami Vivekananda used to wrestle. This whole little dhyana, Swami Vivekananda, when he wake up, what he would do, the different phases of his life, where he went to elementary school. Same thing with Holy Mother, same thing with Ramakrishna, same thing with all his direct. In fact, I mapped out all of Ramakrishna's associates all through Kolkata. So now it's only putting into a book form. So Nisha, I might need your help with that. So now I'm going to take you on this remaining time. I want to take you on a short tour of Kolkata. Now we're going to go to, okay, excuse me. We're going to go to Kolkata. Now, I'm just going to give you, we're going to go to Dakshineshwar. Most of you know, but some of you may not know. So this is where Ramakrishna lived between the middle of 1855 till the end of August 1885, 30 years. And there he did so many types of sadhanas. You name a sadhana, he did that, and he attained realization there. And so, there's, on special days, they would play this special Indian instrumental music on special days. Ramakrishna would hear those from what you call Nahabat, which is these different musical concert towers. So we're gonna fly. Everyone get your seatbelts on. We're gonna have a special tour right now. And we're first going to go from Asilomar Conference Grounds to Dakshineshwar. How do you play? Okay. Get your seatbelt. We're coming to India now. We're about to land. So we just flew into Mother Kali. So now when I see Mother Kali, there's so many different ways we can go with that. Ramakrishna's personal experiences with her. At the same time, there's not time, but her different relationships with the other different Mother Kalis in Kolkata. Some of them are also very special to Ramakrishna. So we only know her, but her sisters are there as well. And because you're all listening, so I just want to give just one, something that you might not know. Can anyone say what is Dakshineshwar? We associate it with Mother Kali. Does anyone know what it really signifies? Dakshin Ishwar, Lord of the South. So that's Lord Shiva. So a little up from, it's called 24 Rock Park in this, about a kilometer away, there's a Dakshineshwar temple there. It has a very special history behind it. It's not clear what it was. Some say that it was there was a South Indian king that lived there. And her daughter was a great worshipper of Lord Shiva. So in that aspect, she was called Dakshineshwar, because that was her lord. And how it was discovered was very interesting, that once, a few hundred years ago, this isn't actually the Kolkata artifacts compiled by the government. They said that a poor Brahmin saw a cow every day. His cow would come back to him without milk. What was happening with the milk? One day he followed his cow. What's he doing? He would go to this dilapidated Shiva Linga and just give all the milk there. Later that day, that poor Brahmin had a vision. Lord Shiva instructed him, you see, build a temple for me. So this is one thing you have. This is Dakshineshwar. Okay, now, one second. So now, this is just like a crash run. We might be giving like a 6-week course on this in Vedanta Life Academy. So this is just like kind of like a teaser. So now we're going to go from Dakshineshwar to Jagannath, Puri temple. How many of you have heard of Puri temple, Jagannath? Okay, good. So that's where they say the Jagannath. What does that mean? Lord of the universe. And so every year during, it's called Ratha Yatra, the pulling of the chariots. Some of you have maybe seen it here by ISKCON. About 4 million people will be pulling the chariot. So I actually attended that. I pulled the chariot 3 times. And in 2012, I actually climbed on the chariot and hugged Lord Jagannath twice. And I think that was the last time that could be done. The next year, the Shankaracharya of Puri said that no mas. No one else can climb on it and hug it anymore. So I sometimes feel like that was like the last hug for humanity. But I can still feel that. I can say, so after that I used to try to go almost every year. This is where there's many legends about Lord Jagannath. Some say that the Asti, Krishna's his bones, is kept in the heart of Lord Jagannath. They say that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the great incarnation, he said that he merged with Lord Jagannath. So now we're going to go there and we're going to play this special music. In Kolkata, you can read in the Gospel or the Katamrita on Ramakrishna used to celebrate this Ratha Yatra, pulling the chariot, and they would sing this song, Du Bhai Asiche. So the 2 brothers have come. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda. The 2 brothers have come. So Ramakrishna would, this song I'm going to play for you, as we fly from Dakshineshwar to Jagannath, he would dance in ecstasy to this song. So if you know the words, you can clap or sing along the song. And also, you're going to have something you could never have if you went there. Special darshan arati of Lord Jagannath. This is the Ratha Yatra. 4 million people are there. And we're all trying to pull the rope. Sometimes you get crushed in the process. And the 3 charioteers represent Balaram, Jagannath, and Subhadra. So now we've gone from Mother Kali, Kolkata. Now we've gone to Jagannath. Now, I'm going to give you one special insight about Jagannath. There's Jagannath, Lakshmi. You saw 3 temple steeples, some of you saw. The 3rd one was Vimala Devi. Now that's interesting. Vimala Devi is Gauri, right? Shakti. That's actually a Shakti Pit. One of the 51 Shakti Pits that's fallen around India, Mahasati, that's in Jagannath's temple. Now, according to some, Lord Jagannath is not only Vishnu, the consort of Mahalakshmi, but he's also Bhairav, Lord Shiva, to Bimala Devi. In that context, now we're going to go from Jagannath to Amarnath. You guys are completing, I think by the end of this, you don't need anything else. You'll have mukti here and there. How many of you know about Amarnath? How many have been to Amarnath? Okay, we have 1, 2, 3. So Amarnath, the mythology is that Lord Shiva wanted to convey the teachings of Amar. Amar means what? Immortality. To Parvati. So they went down this path, Pahalgam. They walked this path. And in each place, where Lord Shiva goes, his entire entourage goes with him. So Sheshnag, the snake, Chandanwari, the moon, Nandi, the bull. So in each place in this Pahalgam tour, he's dropping off one of them to act as a guard. Why? Nobody should hear this teachings of immortality. Otherwise, what happens? They become immortal, right? And it's really, there's this place called Sheshnag. And Sheshnag is the serpent of Lord Shiva. That's right before the Amarnath cave. Now there's a local tradition, they say that once every 20 years, Sheshnag actually comes to life. I met one old sadhu who said he stayed and he went at the time when that happened. So the way he described it, he was sleeping on the grounds near Sheshnag, and at night time he hears like the beating of the drums. He hears this chanting of Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Then he goes he sees all of the locals know about this. The tourists don't know. So then he sees what did he describe it as? Like 1,000, each wave of that river, Sheshnag, rising, and each of them is like a small deep, a small light, in the shape of a hood, like a snake. So 1,000 types of snakes are rising. He sees it rising and dropping. Then he describes he sees it, it goes up, then as a light, it starts to depart from there, it moves like in a wiggly loop, and it goes to the cave of Amarnath. Swami Vivekananda went to Amarnath. Does anyone know what happened? So in fact, Swami Vivekananda went there on what day? The 4th of July. And there he received this boon that he'll die at his own calling. He went to Lord Amarnath, he hugged him, he went into a type of state of ecstasy. And the interesting thing is Sister Nivedita went with him, but she didn't go inside. She's just watching from a distance. And she sees Swami Vivekananda in this type of bhav. So she's watching that and she's feeling kind of jealous. Because she felt that he's having this experience, but she's not having it. But where's my love? Where's my experience? So as they walked back, she wrote this in her life, she went into her shell. You know how sometimes people go into their shell? She wouldn't talk to Swamiji. Then Swamiji senses that. He says to Margot, look, I am not Ramakrishna. I don't have that power. But, then he adds, you've made the trip, and it must have its effect. And what did Sister Nivedita engage in? This post-pilgrimage mindset. We might go a little bit above, but it's okay. This post-pilgrimage mindset. And she started writing in her journal. This is third spiritual practice. Not only meditation, but writing in her journal, reliving this, making that really strong. It's not just something in an inert memory in the past. No, it's a connection with the living deity that comes into life in the present, right here and right now. And with that we can meditate. That becomes like our living companion. Let's go there. Let's go to Om. About 140 feet high. This is Amarnath, so it's in its full glory right now. This is the ice linga. Now we're going to hear the chanting of the Kashmir Pandits doing Arati to Lord Shiva in Amarnath. These are the pigeons. One second. The pigeons they said were immortal. They heard the teachings of Lord Shiva. These are the original Kashmir Pandits. So now, we're going to conclude with, we have 3 minutes left before the mic goes off. So now we're going to fly. Let's see if we can get the full darshan of Kailash. And I went to Kailash in 2018. It's precious not only to Hindus, but to Buddhists, Jains. And because I studied ahead of time, so like I said, wherever I go, I not only want to this darshan, but sparsha. So I think that day 1,000 people went to Mount Kailash, and 5 of us had this charan sparsha, touching the feet of Mount Kailash. The mountain itself. So I also have that. And yes, even now when I can feel that. That's the power of these experiences. North face of Mount Kailash. And they said that on a bump there, that's where Lord Shiva sits. You guys can touch it right now. Really close, you can touch Mount Kailash. There's a stream, this is Borikund. This is where Ma Parvati used to do tapasya. This is where Lord Ganesha was born. Okay, so we have 26 seconds left, so I want to say this just, what I stress all of you, it's not about theory, it's about embodiment. And unless we do that, that's the one. So whatever experiences we have, any place could be a place of pilgrimage if we make it with this mindset. So I encourage all of us, concept of embodied. How do I make this embodied in my life so it becomes manifest? Thank you so much.